Today on Tanaka Homestead, I want to talk to you about egg eating. That's right, your chickens eating their own eggs and some ways to prevent it. How you doing, girls? So you have your flock, they're laying eggs, everything's going good, life couldn't be better, you're enjoying those omelets, and next thing you know, you're not getting as many eggs. Oh, and then one day you go out there and you realize, wow, there's an egg that's busted. Oops, that must have happened on accident. And maybe you forget to clean it up and you go back out there because you remember and the egg's gone. What happened to the egg? Well, the chickens probably ate the egg. So you think to yourself, well, how could that be? Well, it's delicious. You know that. That's why we have chickens. But really, you start kind of like really digging into this. What could have happened? I mean, I give my chickens proper nutrition, which is super important, because if you're giving them a feed that's lacking in nutrients, or you're always giving them snacks or scratch and they're not getting a good feed, they may be looking for nutrition elsewhere. But you think and you say, no, it can't be that. I have a really good food. Well, is it stress? Well, no. I mean, my girls get along. Everybody's happy. I haven't noticed anything out of the norm. No, I don't think that there's a stress issue. I don't see pecking. I don't see feathers missing, So then you think, okay, well, if it's not the food and it's not the stress, well, maybe it's predators. Well, I've predator-proofed my chicken coop. So I don't think it's predators. But why predators? Because predators can go after the eggs. I mean, of course, we get really concerned about larger predators actually eating our chickens, but some of them kind of just like the eggs. And if they go in there and they get a hold of an egg and an egg cracks, that's really all it takes. And that's usually what happens. There's an incidental egg that cracks, and game on, the girls get a taste, and sometimes it can be a really bad habit that's hard to stop. The size of the nesting box is super important. I say no less than 12 by 12 inches. Some people make their own nesting boxes. They have no issues with that. Just make sure it's large enough. And the reason is, if it's too small, it can be more crowded and make it more likely that an egg could possibly break, which is what we want to avoid. The other thing is, you want to make sure you have enough nesting boxes for the amount of chickens you have. About 4 to 5 chickens or so per nesting box. And depending on how many you have, that would determine how many nesting boxes. Some people have a lot more than that. The irony is, though, a lot of chickens like to lay in the same box. There's like a popular nesting box. I don't know if you've experienced this. And that's great, but for some of you, especially if you have a lot of chickens, you may want to increase the frequency that you're getting the eggs to prevent breakage. So that may mean, getting them in the morning, getting them in the afternoon, and even the evening, or having family and friends help you out, because all it takes is one break. Another thing to consider is making sure to check your coop frequently. Sometimes your chickens are clever, like mine, and they may lay in places other than the nesting box. And if it's not in a protected area, that could increase the likelihood of a chicken stepping on an egg and breaking it. That happened, not the breaking part, but we had some bad weather. My chickens, I didn't even realize it because the weather was bad. I was just coming out to the nesting box, which, by the way, they were still laying eggs in there, so I didn't really think too much about it. But I went out there to do their water, and then I look, and I'm like, oh, there's an egg. Oh, there's another egg. Move the door to the desk coop, which actually needs to get moved out of my run. And sure enough, there's a pile of eggs right there. So that was a surprise. Thankfully, nothing was broken. But now I have a big piece of wood there to prevent them from laying eggs there. So that's another thing. Checking the coop, making sure they're not laying eggs in places other than the nesting box, because you want them safe and sound in there. You want to make sure that your nesting box has layers. You want it to at least be 2 inches deep. The reason is, if it's not nice and fluffy, that could increase the likelihood of eggs breaking. Another thing that's important is to make sure that you remove broody hens from the nesting box. You have some of those girls that like to sit on the eggs, and well, the problem is that can increase crowding in the nesting box and also increase the likelihood of an egg cracking. The last thing you want to do is go in there and spook them, and then they hop up and then they will break eggs. So we don't want that. I always pick my girl up. If I see she's been in there for a while, I pick her up and I bring her around. No harm, no foul, no pun intended, but that's what I do. So try to minimize spooking your chickens in the nesting box. And of course, if there ever is a break and you're right there, just clean it up immediately. Many of you know that I have the egg glue, which is made by Omelette. And here there are, well, it's actually one big nesting box, but I put dividers in there, which are just metal bookends that have worked very well. You see I have some beautiful eggs right there. You see my pine shavings on top, and you can see this is, that's my nesting pad. So nesting pad and then pine shavings, and you get these beautiful, beautiful eggs. As you can see, for some reason, they all like this nesting box. Usually they like the one at the end. I don't know what makes it change, but for whatever reason, here we are. Very rewarding though, like I've said. If you have the opportunity to get chickens, I say go for it. Nothing beats fresh eggs like this. Well, that's all I have for you. I am so interested to hear about your experiences, whether you've had chickens that have eaten their own eggs and what you've done. I'd be interested to hear it. So please make sure to post in the comments below. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider that. Give me a like, and thank you so, so much. Happy chicken raising. Bye-bye.